Everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review. And for today's review, we're going to be taking an advanced look at the new 7-inch Arkham Knight figure from DC Collectibles' Batman Arkham Knight video game line. This is the final figure in the first wave, and a big thanks to DC Collectibles for sending this figure out to us early to review for you. It should be released next month sometime. The figure comes in a standardized window box type packaging like we saw with the other Arkham Knight figures. You've got the figure clearly displayed along with the accessories. You've got the Batman Arkham Knight logo down below. Off to the side we have that kind of computer generated image of the character. It tells us that this is figure number 2 in the series. And then on the back we have a look at all 4 figures in the first wave. Again, have the Batman logo. And it tells us down below that the figure is sculpted by Gentle Giant Studios. Okay, so let's get this figure open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figure outside of the packaging. And this is a really nice looking figure. I think DC Collectibles has done a nice job with the paint applications and the overall sculpting of the figure. The figure comes with one accessory, which is a little bit of a spoiler for the video game. The rifle's done in a silver metallic paint. You've got some brown on the handles and then some black on the back of the rifle. The spoiler comes with this little red bat insignia that you find on both sides of the rifle. So that'll pretty much tell you who Arkham Knight is if you didn't already know. But I like the overall sculpting with this, and I think it looks very true to what we see in the video game. And the figure can hold the rifle in his right hand, and he holds it nice and tight. The left hand is sculpted open as well, but it's too open to actually be able to grip onto the rifle, so you can't really hold on to it. So if you want to get him in like two-handed rifle holding poses, then you can. It's definitely sculpted to kind of grip the rifle with the second hand, but he can't actually hold the rifle with his left hand. So for the figure itself, I really like the paint details on it. Now it's mostly done in some dark black and gray colors, or black and dark gray colors, and it's got some metallic silvers throughout. So like here on his helmet, I like how you've got the metallic kind of silver, dark silver color on the earpieces, and then you've got more of a black on the actual face piece. That comes out looking really good. And again, I like the sculpting, or I like the paint details with the red camo that's in the midsection and on his legs. That looks really good and solid. You've got metallic silver and black with like these smoke canisters on his leg. He's got these kind of pouches that are type of a rubber material, and they're just glued on. Same with these on the front on his waist. It looks like another kind of like gas grenade or something. This little belt piece on the back is, again, it's kind of a rubber piece and it's just glued onto the figure. But overall, I just really like the sculpting and paint details. Again, you have that kind of scratched up metal look on the back here with the armor pieces. You've got that those white symbols on his shoulder pads and on his front chest, which those look nice and solid. And just some nice, again, overall sculpting detail on these gauntlets that he has. So I think the figure looks really nice and very true to what we see in the video game. Okay, so this figure stands at about 7.5 inches, maybe a little less than 7.5 inches tall if you count to the tip of his ears. He is pretty much the same height as the Scarecrow figure from the first wave. And he's pretty close to the same height as the Batman figure as well. Batman's maybe a little bit taller with his ears, but for the most part they're about the same height. Arkham Knight is a bit taller than the Harley Quinn figure, as he should be. And then for the final comparison, and here's the big spoiler if you haven't guessed or didn't already know, here he is next to the Red Hood, which is who Arkham Knight is. Arkham Knight is the Red Hood figure. So these two figures are basically the same character. Now the Arkham Knight figure is a little bit taller than the Red Hood, not by much, but a little bit, mostly because of the ears on the helmet. So it doesn't really bother me too much. You know, the Arkham Knight's a little more, got some more armor and stuff on, so that could account for him being a little bit taller. So it doesn't really bother me too much that they're not exactly the same height. And the Arkham Knight figure will hold the pistol that comes with the Red Hood figure, so if you want to give him an extra weapon, you can. So if you were wondering if you can take the head sculpt from that Red Hood figure and stick it on the body of this Arkham Knight figure, the answer is yes, you can. The head is compatible with this body. However, getting the head off of the Red Hood figure is not really easy, especially with the hood that figure wears. I would recommend being very careful because you might end up tearing off the hood. We are going to be getting an actual Arkham Knight figure from DC Collectibles with a red hood head sculpt on it. So I don't know if it's really necessary to, have to buy an extra figure to do all that and everything. But if you really wanted to, the answer is you can take the red hood head sculpt and stick it on the Arkham Knight figure. So the overall articulation on the figure is pretty good. The head is just on a ball joint, so he can look left and he can look right. He does not really have any up or down movement, a little bit down, but not a whole lot. Arms are attached with your standard ball hinge joint at the shoulder, so he can get his arm out good. Now he's got these shoulder pads that are made again with that kind of soft rubber type material, so they have a lot of flexibility. So it doesn't actually limit you from rotating the arm, though you probably want to be careful because it does rub against those shoulder pads when you rotate it all the way around, and you could end up stretching that rubber out or even maybe ripping it off, so I would just be careful. He's got a midsection swivel there, and he's also got the ab crunch joint, so he can look down good and he can look back good. He's got the swivel at the elbow. He's got a single hinged elbow, so he can bend his elbow about that much. And he's got swivels at the wrists, and he does have hinges on his wrists for up and down movement and helps with, holding the rifle. Now I will say, because he's only got the single hinged elbow and he doesn't have a hinge joint on the neck, so he can't really look up very good, you aren't really able to get this figure in some really good sniper firing positions with that rifle, unfortunately. That's probably my biggest complaint with this figure. Legs are attached with standard ball joints, and they're nice solid joints, so you don't have to worry about breaking. He can do the splits about that much. The canister's on his one leg, and he's also got the pouches and stuff. That does limit a little bit how much he can do the splits and how much forward he can get his leg. He can get his leg forward about that much. He can do his leg back, out and back a little bit as well. He has a thigh swivel. He has a double jointed knee, so he has good bending at the knee, and then has ankle pivots, so he's got up and down movement with the feet. Now I will say that the ankles on my figure are a little bit loose. That may just be with my figure, but the ankles are definitely joints are a little bit loose on this figure. So that's my review. Overall, I really like this figure. I like the sculpting detail. I like the paint applications. It's a solid looking figure, and it has pretty good articulation for the most part. I would have liked to have seen maybe some added articulation with like a neck joint or double jointed elbows, just for getting him in some better sniper firing positions. But overall, he's got pretty good posability, and just the overall look and sculpting of the figure is really nice. So if you're a fan of the Arkham Knight video game, or you've been collecting all the other Arkham video game figures from DC Collectibles, I think this is definitely one you're going to want to add to your collection. This figure is slated to go on sale next month in September, and it should be available at places like GameStop or pretty much anywhere that carries DC Collectibles. We'll have a full gallery of images of the figure over at toynewseye.com. There's a link in the description below. And as always, we ask, leave a comment, let us know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And until next time, I'll catch you later.